In this video, we're going to cover one of the uses for our new Benches 18 template component. This template can be used for a variety of applications, but most commonly in designs where you want your benches to have a flat gradient independent of your road profile. For example, in a pit ramp in an open pit mining operation. But we've covered that previously in another video, so we'll link to that in the comments below. But in this video, we're going to cover another somewhat less intuitive use for this template, which is to have your benches run on a set gradient independent of your profile, but not flat either. One example where you may find this useful is to intercept and redirect water on your overseeping cut slope. And with that, let's jump into our current sample and see what we've got. So we have our cut slope here that follows the ground to the top of the hill. This really isn't practical to build, so in this case we're going to oversteep. Now if we oversteep in this, we expose ourselves to surface flow coming from that steep face, eroding it and destabilizing it. But we can try to manage that problem by benching it and directing the water along those benches. We're going to take a peek at our slopes component, and we'll look specifically at slope 18. So here we have our bench datum, and if we leave that bench datum at 100 and we have our bench height set at 10, each one of those benches is going to have a face value of 100 and then incrementally increase by 10. So here, if our road elevation was at 210 meters, our next bench would be at 220, then 230, and so forth. So with this, we can configure this to set our bench height to be whatever we'd like. In this case, let's set it at 12 meters. We will set our bench base width at 3.5 meters. We will set the bench base slope, and in this case, we want to use a negative slope so the bench will intercept the water. Let's set that at negative 15%. Our bench slopes, I want to use a different number than the default here. Now that this is configured, let's adjust our apply and fill. We don't want that, so let's adjust it to 0. We can now copy this component and paste it, but I have already done that here with my BC template. So the next step is assigning this to the range that I'd like to apply the template to. So we assign our templates up here through the Assign Parameters by Range dialog. Select our new template, set our station range, and make sure to hit the Add Edit button. So at this point, our benches are flat along the slope. Now to set this gradient, I'm going to go back into our Assign by Range, and I'm going to set the gradient in overrides. I've got my bench datum set, and I'm going to create an override at station 2000. And we'll leave it at the default value at station 3000. So we're going to unselect Use Default and change this value to 120. So in this case, we're going to increase by 20 meters over the distance of 1 kilometer. So we've got a 2% gradient. And here, just tapering that back in to the default value. We'll hit OK here a couple of times, and then we'll let the design recalculate. This gradient has our benches running back towards the ditch. So ideally, our surface runoff gets intercepted by the benches, which are essentially acting as ditches in this case. The water moves back towards the ditch line and you can dispose of it appropriately, or at least armor the ditches appropriately to prevent erosion. And that is another example of working with the Bench's 18 template component in RoadEng. Be sure to check out our other example with a link for that video to follow. Thanks for watching.